Hi all, I'm going to talk about something which I never thought about at the time I was going through active addiction, and that was I was living in a state of constant withdrawal, and I became a top-up drinker, which basically means you can't function. People say you're functional alcoholic, but you're not. So the day would start with feeling rough, obviously, very dehydrated, maybe a bit of retching, some bile up, that sort of thing. It's horrible, isn't it, to talk about? But this is the reality of it. Just feeling like, oh, my life's not worth living. I feel down, I feel depressed, I feel there's nothing happening in my life. Nobody wants to know me. Don't speak to many people. Family, in some ways, give up with you. They've tried so hard to get you off the booze and you haven't responded. Because only you can do it. So the day will start, this is before I got very ill, mind. The day would start with waking up when I woke up. I had no structure whatsoever. And I'd have a drink, basically. Try and get the first sip of lager down. Normally Stella, Peroni, something like that. And you feel sick again. Maybe lie back on the bed again. Try and listen to some music. Try and do something, try and relax. I could never relax without alcohol. Maybe an hour later, try and get a wash. This is before I had no electricity. Well, no hot water anyway. And then I sort of pull myself together after 3 or 4 drinks. When you have 3 or 4 drinks, it gives you like a bit of a boost, doesn't it? And this is like long before I was really ill. I lived in that state for years, where I was just trying to get through the day, and I got used to feeling terrible. Now, I look back and think, how did I manage it? Alcoholics need to be quite strong people in a way to get through these days, because you've got to fight it every day, and it becomes full-time occupation just to try and feel okay. But what I mean by the everyday living for the withdrawal, you have the same process every day. You never feel any different. Because people say to me, oh, you're sober all the time, that's the best you're going to feel all day. Well, yes, but I feel great all day and all night. And I can do anything I want, 24 hours a day. But when you live in a constant state of withdrawal, all you're looking forward to is getting that buzz again. You're never going to get the buzz, but what you want is this sort of feeling of, I feel a little bit better, I feel a bit more normal. And if you're not right at the stage of stage 4 when you're completely dependent, you're still living in withdrawal because you're constantly hungover. And a lot of people I used to know, especially in the south, used to drink at lunchtimes. And all sorts of industry, solicitors, barristers, all sorts, have a few pints at lunchtime. It was purely a bit of a liven, really, wasn't it? Maybe not at the stage of hair of the dog, as in straight away, as soon as they wake up. But that's how it progresses. And people will say, oh God, I was in hospital, I've got a broken leg for 3 weeks, I felt much better because I didn't have a drink. But we still carry on, don't we? Even though we know we feel terrible, we get used to that feeling of being nervous on the underground, not being able to cope with crowds so much, not being able to cope with pressure or stress with the family so much, becoming introverted again. We drank, well, I drank because I was introverted and pretty shy. Then I became king of the pub and I wasn't introverted and shy. Then I went back to that with the problem drinking. I went back to high anxiety, high stress, very, very quiet. And I became sort of relying on people, and I was a bit timid. That's the best way to put it, timid. I didn't like that. I didn't like being timid. When you're timid, people take advantage of you. That's another thing as well. There are so many things wrong with alcohol. The list is endless, to be honest with you, because it affects your mind, it affects your body, it affects your lifestyle, it affects your relationship, it affects everything. Everything, but you can't get over it. You've got to get over it to be here tomorrow, if that makes sense, because it will take you to an early grave. It's as simple as that. This constant state of withdrawal catches up with you, and you don't eat very well, you feel a bit rough generally, a bit meh every day, and then you have a drink and you think, oh, I feel a bit better now. But as that progresses, you're just drinking to try and stay on a level where you can just about manage to function as a person, not at work. Just to get up, maybe clean your teeth now and again, to wash your hair or whatever. I mean, what a life that is, isn't it? And millions of people do that every day in the UK. There are a lot more problem drinkers than you think. And they'll say, oh, you have 4 or 5 pints. Most people have 4 or 5 pints. They say they're 4 or 5 pints. They'll have 8 or 10. It's killing you, isn't it? It's killing lots of people every year. And as I said many times before, the alcohol-related death rate is on the increase. It was the highest ever last year. But why don't we break the cycle of constant withdrawal? It's a habit, isn't it? And it's not like a major operation, stopping drinking. It's more than that in a way, in your mind. It's a lot of it's in the mind. If you're dependent, then you've got to get medical help, because you'll have seizures like I did. I didn't get medical help. I didn't know much about it 30 years ago, or 25 years ago when I first stopped. Tried to stop suddenly, ended up in a bit of a mess in hospital. But if you can stop on your own or with a bit of assistance, then once you've stopped, you've really got to focus on staying stopped. There's all of this sort of fear of missing out, I'm going to be bored without drinking, all that sort of thing. But you're going to go back to living in this state of withdrawal again. And when you look back, you think, why was I living like that? I'm feeling rough all the time. You'll feel terrible for 20 hours of the day, right? I know some of it will be sleeping or tossing and turning. Just for 3 or 4 hours of what you think is a bit of fun. If you go back to the pub now, sober, and watch people do what you did, you'll be horrified. I went to a couple of bars over Christmas, just to have a look-see. And I thought, I couldn't do this again. Fighting, literally pushing each other out of the way to get to the bar with the money and the credit cards, waving them in the air. All this carry on to try and drink poison is going to effectively kill you early. I think it's slow suicide. But they live in this withdrawal state. There's a lot that I was talking to not long ago. He said, I'm not going to have anything to drink on Friday because I want to feel good on Saturday. I thought, well, I feel good all the time. Because he was doing so, he said, I'm going to have a nice day out. Because he doesn't normally have a nice day out. He knows on a Friday night he'll drink a lot and feel terrible on the weekend. So he's planning his week ahead already. And I used to do that. If I had a social event to go to, I could never attend it without a drink. So I think, well, I'm going to get a drink from. Can I take some drink with me? Can I sneak some in the car? Will my wife drive? Should we get a taxi? All this extra cost as well. Not being able to get places, not to use transport. All of it is all down to the drink. The evil drink, the demon drink, whatever you want to call it, But all those years I lived through that concentrated withdrawal, I should have been feeling good. In my 30s, a prime of life, isn't it? Instead, I felt rough and tired. A lot of us did when I worked, and we used to do the same thing every day. Oh, we'll not have a drink today after work. We'll not have a drink today. What a hell of a night last night or the week before, or whatever. And we always ended up at the pub again. And we never went for 1 or 2. It was always 6 or 7 or 10 or 12. And that's the cycle you're in, isn't it? And then you go to work next day feeling, oh my God, we shouldn't have that to drink. There's a massive regret there, isn't there? But somebody will just turn around and say, oh, come on, let's go for a pint. You think, yeah, go for 1. Get the taste for it again. And then you're back in the game, and you're back in the boozer for 4, 5, 6, 10 hours. And the first mistake is actually going to the pub, isn't it? And that one mistake will lead to other mistakes, like getting home in time, having an argument with the missus or your partner or whatever. And then it'll go on to getting a bit late for work. You're rushing, chasing your tail, having ironed his shirt, having had a shave, having had a shower, all this sort of thing. All because you made that one decision to go to the pub. And then the constant living in withdrawal starts again, doesn't it? Every day. The only time you ever break that constant state of withdrawal is when you don't have a drink. And it's surprising how good you feel and how quickly you'll feel good. But most people always go back to it. That's a bit of a strange thing to say, but most people will tend to go back to it, or they'll think about it, or they'll just do what I did 1,000 times, which is say to myself, I wonder if I'll be alright with just 1. You're never going to be alright with 1. It's going to kill you, isn't it? And you're back to this constant state of withdrawal. When you're off it, you feel great. And you enjoy the small things in life, like a cup of coffee, slice of toast, whatever it is. I didn't enjoy my life when I was drinking. I had a really good job. I worked in a fantastic place. I had some good mates, and I had, a little bit of cash floating about, and all of that meant nothing to me. It was just getting near the drink, getting change, getting back to the red line for more pints of strong lager, and that was my day. And I think, how pathetic was that? I had all the opportunities in the world to do well, and it was all taken by this poison alcohol. And I lived in that for years and years and years and years. And I wouldn't swap what I've got now for all the tea in China, really, to go back even for an hour to that life. Because I enjoyed parts of it, but it was when I was a young man. And I think now it's time, well, I know it's now, it's time for a new chapter, because I want to live a bit longer. And I want to live a bit longer with some life in me, so I can do things and travel a bit more and all this sort of thing, and make sure I don't blow all my money on alcohol and feeling rough and taxis and bad food and end up in a wheelchair or worse, because that's what's going to happen to you if you continue to drink. Your life will be taken over. 100%. If you're interested in any one-to-one mentoring and support, then give me a shout. I'll put a link in the description of the video. If you enjoy the videos or benefit from the videos, shall I say, then please subscribe and share them. We've got a massive community here now. We're all here to help each other. Don't just reach out to me, reach out to other people in here who've got a lot of experience of alcohol issues, and let's do this together. It's hard to do it alone. I tried to do it alone, didn't work. Support on here, as in people who can speak to who've got experience of alcoholism, because alcoholism is it's a complex subject. Doctors can do lots of things, but unless they've been an alcoholic, they won't know how you feel. The people on this channel know how you feel because they've been through it, and that's the main thing you've got to focus on. Getting well. Get well with me, get well with the channel, and get well for yourself and your family. Speak soon.